I'm ultra critical of what Annapurna Interactive has done here because I love some of their other experiences. What Remains of Edith Finch, Flower, Florence, Gone Home, and even though it was very comical in a very goofy kind of way, Donut County, just to name off the top of my head a few games that I know they've been involved in. So when I saw that they were coming out with 12 minutes, I was incredibly ecstatic. As with many of you, the game kind of fell off the radar for a while. Thanks to Xbox Game Pass, it's back. I got a chance to play it, and I have to say I'm really disappointed. I wanted so much more from this game. Now, I'm going to get into some of the story spoilers here, so I'm just letting you know if you haven't yet beat the game, go away. Or if you don't want to play it and you just want to listen to me be upset, well, you came to the right place. 12 minutes is done so well in the gameplay perspective because it's a very novel concept. Time loop isn't a novel concept, but the way that they handled it was the way that each loop iterates and you slowly get new dialogue options, in the way that your character almost frustratingly has to re-explain themselves multiple loops into the chain to try to quickly cut through some of the earlier exploration phases was really fun and a very novel concept. And I think Annapurna has always excelled at how to tell a story, but the story itself definitely takes a very, front seat. I mean, take a look at Flower, for example. Look what that game was trying to explain to us about nature and about the overarching, industry and how it's kind of ruining nature. And it was told without a single word spoken. And it was a very heartfelt experience. Games like Gone Home, about a girl coming out. Awesome story told through these journals and kind of reliving her life almost in a sense, seeing what happened to her, seeing the struggles that she had of coming out and ultimately finding happiness. And then What Remains of Edith Finch, just masterclass in storytelling. I love that game. So it's so near and dear to my heart. So Annapurna does the story and the gameplay well. Here they absolutely dropped the ball on the story. I don't know what they were thinking here, and it's really frustrating. Before I get into the story, I just want to wrap up one little segment on the gameplay piece. And as fun as the loop was of exploring things, the game definitely had some very obscure puzzle solving that was required. I was incredibly frustrated when I was starting to piece the initial part of the story together before the really major swerve and then the super major swerve at the end. But I was trying to explain to my wife I was time traveling. And to do that, I was going to tell her, hey, there's a present in the drawer. And now I'm going to explain to you exactly what's on it. It's a baby's, shirt for a little baby. It's a girl. It's got a name on it. This is the name. It has a flower on it. This is the color of the flower. It didn't give me that option. All let me do was say, hey, I know you got a present for me. And the wife goes, okay, but I'm not yet convinced. And then I had to go off and figure out what the hell that meant before I realized, oh, I have to tell her that it's about to thunder, which that apparently was the thing that put her over the edge. And it really frustrated me because the game didn't delve enough into the conversation with the first part, where it basically inserts these layers of additional loops and additional tasking that is required in order to almost lengthen out the game. I jokingly told my wife, real life, Rachel, this morning, the game probably should have been called 6 minutes because it should have been shorter. It wasn't. They put in a lot of filler stuff that you had to do just to make the game longer and more obtuse than it needed to be. And it happens time and time again. When you start to uncover the mystery, there is yet another thing that's put in your way, forcing you to loop again because you screwed something up. You finally figure out how to knock out the cop by the electrical switch. The electrical switch shorts out. He gets electrocuted. He gets knocked out. Well, if you don't immediately handcuff him, guess what? He stands right back up, and you have to start all over again. It's like, are you kidding me? So they just constantly do these things that it's like, okay, clearly I'm going down the right path. Let's reward the player a little bit. And I feel like we didn't get that level of reward in terms of, hey, you're going down the right road we're going to let you continue in the game. No, it has to be done so perfectly in such a specific order that if you mess things up even the slightest bit, the simulation fails and it's a reboot. I didn't like that. I love the concept of what they were trying to do. I love the idea that you learn every iteration to get smarter, but there were some nuances in the system. And I would be willing to let those go, but it's the story ultimately, not those nuancy gameplay things I talked about, which, by the way, wasn't fun at all. It's the story that is absolutely bonkers at the end that really was frustrating to me. And you ultimately find out the big swerve was that none of this is real. This is all made up in your head, and you are essentially trying to date your stepsister. That's really the story here. You're in love with your stepsister. Your father, her father, who is a very promiscuous fellow, apparently gets the nanny pregnant. You end up meeting the family, I'm assuming, through the nanny, as this kind of bastard love child, and you eventually fall in love with your own sister. And this whole game is a fantasy about what if you end up marrying her, you guys have a child together, about to have a child together, and you have all these weird subconscious things interfacing with you, like the cop, and this weird story of this watch, and all these other I don't even know what the word is, like psychology type devices that you have implanted to kind of talk yourself out of it in a sense. The story here that the daughter shoots her father, but he doesn't die, and then you come back and kill him a week later, but she felt guilty for it, but you secretly... It was a jumbled mess. And I hope that for people who are still listening to this video who haven't played the game, they're probably thinking, holy crap, Jim is a rambling madman. Yes, that's what this game will do to you. It will drive you nuts because it makes no sense. Why would a guy love his sister? It's so baffling to me. And it wasn't even an exciting, fun reveal. The ultimate, there's multiple endings. The ending I personally chose was you kind of snap out of it and just say, hey, I don't want to date you anymore. Which, I mean, come on, right? But whatever. I'm not even offended by the idea of incest either. And that, I don't care about that. I mean, I personally don't like it, but I'm not offended about that. What I'm offended about was the writing was so lazy. And it was boring, and it did not intrigue me, and I don't feel rewarded. It was a very dull ending. The fact that this was all made up, the fact that this was just your subconscious basically trying to make you right a wrong here. The character development that we see through the game was very undeserved. The only way to break through to the cop, who is going to kill you essentially every loop unless you stop him, was to have his daughter call him and say, hey, please don't be mean to the people you're about to visit. And he goes, oh, okay. And then he suddenly calms down. There was no other way to de-escalate that situation. With your wife and explaining things to her over and over again, she is either incredibly in denial of what you are saying to her, or she instantly goes along with it. And when you take these far-fetched, crazy ideas already, and you put on a far-fetched, crazy story on top of it, you end up with this mess of a game. And I'm really disappointed because I really want to root for Annapurna, but they dropped the ball here big time. I don't really see this being any other way. I don't think the critical reviews on this were that great. If they are, I would love to know what game those guys played, because the one that I played was not fun. And it's sad that I have to leave 2021 on a sour note. This will be the last game that I beat for 2021. And it's a shame that this review is going to be as negative as it is, because I want to celebrate unique, original, crazy storytelling. I want to celebrate unique, original, fun concepts that make you think, that make you kind of empathize and grow with these characters. And 12 minutes does none of that. You want to take my advice? Avoid this game like the plague. Do yourself a favor and go play one of their other games, which are significantly better. And I've named a few already. Kentucky Route Zero I'll throw in there. Sayonara Wild Heart's another good one. Ashen. I mean, come on. These are all phenomenal games. This particular game, no, avoid it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Happy New Year. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.